What's up guys, Gary here with Selftaughtdev. In this CSS tutorial, we're going to talk about the box model, padding, and margin. So the box model is basically what every HTML element has around it. If you open up your inspector and go to the bottom of the styles here, any element you click on is going to have this box model around it. In the centermost part here, this is the content. This is your actual text or your actual image or video. This is the actual content of the element. Around that, we have the padding. That is going to increase the space between the content and the border. That's that green highlighted part on the element off to the left there. Actually, let's switch to this one. There we go. Now you can see it a little bit better on this highlighted element right here. It's the sides right here. Next, we have the border, and that's just going to be the border around the element. And then lastly, we have the margin, and that's basically going to push other elements away from this element. So if we adjust the top margin of this purple element to 50 pixels, it's going to be farther away now. But we're going to refresh that, because another important thing about margin is that it is collapsible, essentially. Let's say we have padding. When we hover over the P1 here, as you can see on the bottom, there's margin there. And when we hover over P2 on the top, there's also margin there. So those margins are intersecting and basically collapsing into each other. So that is an important thing to make note of. And margin is also transparent, so we have background color purple on this P tag, but it is not colored in the margin. It only affects the padding part and the content. So I think that's about it for the box model. I'm gonna have some links to other sites if you wanna go read more about that. This is a very important concept to get down for HTML and CSS. Now, how do we adjust the padding and the content? So let's go up here, let's turn off padding. So this is what this element looks like without any padding. There's not really much room to breathe. It doesn't look that great. And depending on the design, you're gonna adjust the padding to give it more space around and make it look a little bit better. But how do we write padding and margin properties? So right here, we're just gonna say padding top, 50 pixels, padding right, 50 pixels, padding bottom, 50 pixels, and padding left, 50 pixels. And that has adjusted the padding on all four sides. So we can adjust each one of these independently. Like if we want right to be that much and bottom to be that much and left to be 150, we can adjust each one independently. But let's say you are working on a project and you want all four of these to be the same pixel width. So let's say we want all four sides to be 50 pixels. It's kind of a hassle to have to write out all four of those lines every time. So we can use the shorthand property. We can just say padding 50 pixels, and then that will apply to all four sides. There's a little arrow here when we have these on. And if we click on this, you can see that it's overriding padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left. And that is also the order that it applies it to as well. We can still, even though this is shorthand, we can still fit all four of these properties in here. So we can say 50 pixels, 60 pixels, 70 pixels, 80 pixels, and that is applying it to all four sides, but in one line. So if you have different widths you need on all of them, you can apply it in one line, and that's a lot more efficient too. But it applies it with, this is gonna be the top, then the right side, then the bottom, and then the left. So keep in mind that order when you're adjusting this. And then we can also use two properties to adjust just the top and bottom, and then the left and the right. So if we change this one to 160, we're adjusting the left and the right side of this element's padding to 160, but the top and bottom are still gonna be 50 pixels. And then we could also just do top, right, or top, bottom, right, left, or we can add a third. So now it's doing top, left and right, and bottom. So you can do it that way as well. So you're very rarely going to use these. The shorthand property is going to be the most common way that you will write padding or margin value, because this applies to margin as well. If we say margin top 100 pixels, that's applying it to the top. Margin right 50 pixels, you're not going to see anything. Actually, I guess you will. Because it's adjusting the container element. It's adding more space in this div, if that makes sense. As you can see on the right there, that orange side is 50 pixels. So this container element has to expand to hold both of these. So if we make this 100, that's going to expand even more because our div element has to expand to contain the purple element with its margin. And because of some other stuff, this element is growing as well. We're not going to get into that in this video, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you can use margin shorthand as well. So if we just do margin 50 pixels, or let's try 25, and then let's turn off the padding on this too, because that's getting it a little big. Margin 80, so as you can see, it's applying it to all four sides, the top, right, bottom, and left. And then we can do the same thing on this as well. We can say top, bottom, and then left and right. So now it's applying 80 to the top and the bottom, and 50 to the left and the right side. And then you can do the same thing with just 3 properties, or you can write all 4 inside the margin shorthand property as well. And when we unclick these elements here, we're basically just saying, hey, browser, don't render these CSS rules, don't use these. So it's on right now, it's off right now. That's pretty obvious, but just want to make sure explaining that for everybody. So that is about it for this one. We learned about the box model. We learned how to adjust padding and margin. Now for the challenge on this one, I want you to look in the description. I will have a link to a code pin that will bring you to basically this page here. And I want you to adjust the padding and the margin. I want you to adjust it with all 4 of the long way to write it out on the padding and the margin. And then I want you to override those with the shorthand property. So for example, you're gonna grab this first element here. You're gonna say padding top, certain amount, padding right, certain amount, padding bottom, padding left. And after you played with that for a little bit, seeing what that does, I want you to say padding and then apply a certain padding to all 4 sides in 1 line of code. And then do the same thing with this element and margin. If you have any questions on that, let me know in the comments below, or if you have any questions about this lesson in general, let me know in the comments below. If you want to come hop in the Discord, the link for that is in the description. You can talk tech with me, ask me any questions. And I also want you to go to Discord, take a picture of your code pin after you've adjusted the padding, and post a picture in the Discord in CSS Challenge 5, just so I have proof that you did it. And I think that's about it for this one. So I will see you guys next time. Peace.
Round 1.